Alright, what we're going to be making for this next assignment will be a chip and dip, or a salsa platter, or a guac platter, and it's all going to be thrown in one piece. I've got about 4 pounds of clay. Actually, I believe it was 4 1/4. So I'm going to go ahead and stick that good to my wheel. Turn it on very slowly. Make sure it's in the middle. Okay, when centering a mass of clay like this, it's a little bit more than what some of us are used to when you're first getting started. I like to really seal it to the wheel, so I'm pushing down. Again, nothing above my knuckle of my thumb, but I push it down. And it looks like I'm using this part of my hand, but I'm really using the heel of my hand. You really want to use your body weight on this. 5 pounds, 4 pounds, not that much, but if you've never thrown more than a couple pounds, it can be a task to center. Because I find that some of my students throw with a lot of muscle, a lot of arm strength, but if you just throw with a little bit more finesse, it'll help you out. So again, still coning up, coning down. It's kind of a lot of water, but that's okay. If you ever get any clay down here, just get that out of your way. Okay, then I'm going to center down. Now I'm going to center this really, really low. That's because I'm going to end up with a really wide foot on this. It's going to be about as wide as my platter here, or my bat. I'll work on just getting that a little better centered. And again, if it goes out too wide, like I have big long thumbs, but I still can't reach this amount. So I use my fist. Push down and push on the side using my body weight. Okay. So now I'm ready to open. I'm going to open a little bit. And I definitely want to measure this. Check and see how big the sides are. Excuse me, the sides, the bottom. So about a 1/2 inch. I want enough to be able to trim a good foot on the bottom of this thing. So, and in the end, I end up flipping this over, and you'll see what I mean in a minute once I throw it. But I put this on a bucket, a plastic bucket, 5-gallon bucket, and with a towel, and that's how I trim it. And I just center the bucket. But yeah, about a 1/2 inch on this one. So I'm going to patch that. I'm going to open just a tiny bit more because it's a little off-centered. Okay, now here's the trick to throwing this in one piece. So it's going to have a salsa or guac dish in the middle, and then a big platter out to the side. So the way we throw that in one piece is like this. We step out a little bit, and I'm going to open down here as straight as I can. Okay, get a little friction, so I just want a little tiny bit of moisture, but I can still see where I'm going with it. Okay, you don't want to leave too much clay for that bowl inside, but just enough to be able to throw later on. So I'm going to leave that alone. Now I'm going to open this all the way out to the sides. So I'm going to slow this down just so I can keep a nice, firm amount of pressure and keep this thing balanced. And I want to keep my floor nice and flat and level. Okay, and I'm going to compress that. All the way out. Not only does that help me level the floor, make it nice and even, but it also makes sure that I won't get or would be less likely to get cracks. No guarantees in ceramics, that's for sure. So now I'm going to pull this chunk of clay up, and then eventually I'll pull it out. So I'm going to slow this down just a little bit because we're way out here on the outside of the circle. So I'm going to squeeze this, and I'm pulling it pretty much straight up. It's a little bit of a slant. Okay, I'm going to pull that up again. Get rid of some of the slip on my hands. So I want some height out of this so I can eventually flange it all the way out past my wheel head here. So I'm squeezing. Okay, and again, keep the lip nice and fat for now because we're going to stretch this out. Probably one more pull on this lip. Excuse me, on the walls. This one I'm going to come out at a slant. So I've got some height out of it. I want to come out a little bit. Okay, and you can see how on that one pull, when I started going outward, started stretching it, that lip thinned out quite a bit. And that's why I want to keep it nice and thick early on. Okay, do some manicuring here. Take my sponge inside. Okay. Now I'm going to throw the inside bowl. So I get a little bit of water. First I'm going to go kind of up, but I'm going to go out a little bit also. Because I want some width on this bowl, but I don't want it to get in the way of the chips. Okay, there's one little tiny pull. We get a little bit more clay there. Pull it from the bottom. This time I'm pulling it pretty wide. A little bit of cleanup on the inside as well. Then I'm going to make sure I have like a little divot in there, so I'm going to go ahead and clean that up. Just from where I opened, it didn't open wide enough. Sincerely honest on this one. So that'll actually give me a little bit more clay for my salsa bowl. Softening that lip, clean the inside. And I always like a little swirl inside just for extra measure, a little handmade measure. Soften that up so the glaze can pool in there, but it won't have any food stuck in there. Okay, now for the last portion. When wide platters like this are made, or thrown especially, when they dry, they tend to fold up a little bit. So I'm going to take my fingers right here, at the very bottom where there's still clay attached to the wheel, and I'm going to stretch this out as far as I can without flopping it. If you test it too much, sometimes it takes a little drying time, but if you test it too much, it will flop all the way down. But you can still save those, hang them upside down. That's about as far as I want to go with that. Right now I'm just taking my finger down and I just make sure it's all nice and level so it doesn't have like my little knuckle space. And that is a chip and dip platter. Okay, but again, I would go over, clean everything up with a sponge, make sure it has a nice touch, nice soft lip. Then tomorrow, after I take it off the bat, let it dry for a day, I'll flip it over into a bucket so that this piece can rest inside on a towel, and I can use this portion resting on a towel to trim it. Okay, so it'll be upside down in a bucket to trim.